Hey,
Hello, good morning.
good morning. Like, full disclosure, she was trying to help me figure out how to do landscape on my phone. I always do portrait, so hilarious. And I'm trying to block the glare from the snow.
It'll be your halo.
Oh, so good morning. I'm
Good
Kirty
morning.
Lindgren.
I'm Nicole Ronningen. We're so excited to talk today. We are letting you in on something that's very sacred of ours. We have these amazing conversations that we think would every time we hang up, we're like, man, that would have made a great podcast. We should have recorded that. So we're giving that a try. So we're letting you in on our sacred sisterhood calls.
We totally are. And I don't, like you said, it's just hilarious. Every time we get off the phone or we leave a WhatsApp clip, like, oh, that would have made such a great podcast.
Like if only
My,
we knew how to do that.
right, exactly. It is a little easier to just put your hair in a ponytail and not have to do anything with yourself, though, when you're
I
doing
put
coffee
on
talk.
makeup for you today, Kirty.
I see that. So I'm gonna before we do introductions, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. So did I
Perfect.
tell you that when we were on vacation at Christmas, we got back into the U.S. and I was pretty proud of myself. I'm like, I did not forget anything in the Bahamas. I forgot nothing, right? And then we were going out to Little Havana in Miami, and I was like, oh, I forgot all my makeup in the Bahamas. And
Oh,
so
that's right.
so it's like, all right, so 2019 is going to be the year of no makeup. And I vacillate. I vacillate between like watching drag queens on YouTube put eye makeup on. Like I love watching like Jeffree Star and I can't
Mhm.
like there's another guy that I can't think of his name right now. And and then the other part of me is like doing a fist bump with, Alicia Keys, like, yeah, girl, like no makeup. So either love wearing like tons of makeup or none at all. And mostly it's none at all because I work from home, right?
Right. Give our
But you look
skin a break.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I got a shorter haircut again, and I love my short haircut. And I go back to it every few months, but then I was like, I feel like eye makeup would make this look even better, like more, more fun and dramatic. And I went into Austin yesterday with my girlfriend, Sharon. We've known each other since middle school. And she showed me around and we had the best time. And her friend, who I had only met once before, invited me to go wedding dress shopping with them. So I felt so honored. And I'm like, I'm going to put on some makeup. And it felt really kind of fun, but oh, I definitely don't do it all the time. We live in an RV trailer. So like I camp. I live camping life is my life. So no makeup needed for that.
Well, and I used to laugh because we have our trailer, and I'm gonna ask you more questions about this about you camping because this is our intro video. This is the
You
episodes.
get what you get. You get our random stream of consciousness. You get what you get.
Yes,
We
and this is
we do have a plan. However, you get what you get
you
in
get what
all
you
its
get.
glory.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, you may get some Jesus, you might get some woo.
You
Hopefully,
might get some cuss
you
words.
might get some cuss words.
You
Yeah.
might see some random RVs going behind me as they're leaving the park. You never know.
Well, and you might see hippie Steve, and that's okay. He might just pass behind me, hopefully in his bathroom, and go get some coffee. So, we don't
So
know.
if you have children, maybe you don't want to watch this when when the children are around. We use
Yeah,
adult language.
we'll put a disclaimer. But so, episode 1 of our podcast is called The Dishwasher, and that's we'll get there eventually, but not right now. So, so Steve and I've had a travel trailer since 2014, and we would go places like one of the places you guys have been to Leavenworth, Washington, right?
That was
So
our first big place when we bought our trailer was Leavenworth.
right. So Icicle River RV, it's a good Sam place. So when you pull in, there's like tons of the big, like what are they, Class A, the big diesel
Mm-hmm.
pushers. And as all the women look so put together. And I'm like, it's 108 degrees. I'm just trying to keep dogs alive at this point. Like, but they look good. They're ironed and, you know, all these things. And so it is when it's their house. It's your house. So
it's
right.
my house. And I share it with my 4 unicorn children and my husband. So we are very minimal. And even right now, I'm like, how did we get all this crap? I'm ready to go through everything. I have this orange box, and I'm like, okay, put everything you don't want in the box. We're donating it. As I didn't know I was going to have to do that in a 28-foot trailer, but you accumulate along the way. Even though we've been really big on, we're collecting memories, not souvenirs. And we buy stickers for the trailer, not, you know, little mementos here and there. The stickers are fun, but they take up 0 space.
Exactly. Well, and I felt that off of you this week. And I don't know if it was because you were posting more pictures, but I felt like as you were posting the pictures, I felt like, oh, she's worried about clutter and like the stuff. And so, yeah, I could definitely.
And I don't hide it. I mean, I never hide, like, I don't, oh, quick, make the bed real quick before you take a picture. I'm not that.
No.
Like, look, this is how we roll. Literally, we roll like this.
We literally roll.
Sometimes when we arrive, stuff's all over the place. If it didn't get stowed properly, and we just put it back together. And
oh my gosh. Well, how many times, I don't know if you guys have had to do this. We're going to talk about RV repairs, but like my favorite is when I get in the trailer afterwards and like the drawers are out and they're so far out. Like you're thinking, am I going to be able to get the drawer back in? Like we've had to.
Like The Exorcist happened in there.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Well, and I say we repaired it. Like I'm involved, but I'm more like moral support and more like, honey, like the drawers won't close or won't, you know, they won't stay closed when we're traveling. Mm-hmm. So he has gone through and replaced the rails and the ball bearings and put in extra clips. You know how it sucks into a clip to really hold it. So now, you know, it's like a workout to get the drawer open, which is great. I'd rather have that than the entire contents of my kitchen on the floor.
So I have a little tip. We took the cutting board that covers the sink and gives you extra counter space, and we slide it into the bathroom cupboard so that all of our shower stuff doesn't come flying out every time, because that cupboard kept coming open. So we kind of this little block. So every time I'd like, put the cutting board in the bathroom cupboard.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah. It totally works. I didn't have to buy anything new. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about law of attraction and what we want to clear and what we want to bring into our space. Everybody in America is finally getting on board with Marie Kondo thanks to Netflix. And we've been doing this for the last 3 years, hence the tiny trailer. We're like, nothing in our life brings us joy, including where we live. So we're out. We sold our house. We're like, that's an exaggeration. We have dear friends and family there, but it wasn't enough to like make us want to stay. And we're like, this past 15 years of marriage, never taking vacations. I finally, when I hit a certain rank in my business, the year before in 2017, I took my family to Legoland for the first time, and we went on a little road trip to visit friends that weren't family, just people we wanted to choose to spend time with, and we enjoy their family. And it was like, oh, this feels good. And my kids actually are pretty good on road trips. We didn't know. We have kids with sensory issues and special, non-neurotypical things. And so being in a small space, anytime anyone would suggest tiny house living, I'm like, oh, we could never do that. We would kill each other. And that was just I was like, oh, we can't even be in the same room in a 20 or 2,000 square foot home. We could never do that. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks a couple different times. Like, I would love that life. I would love that life. And it was on my vision board. And then we were going to move to Portland, and then had a conversation with a girlfriend while we were packing up my kitchen. And we were like, instead of handing the landlord $25,000 or whatever, what rent's going to be where we were going to move for a year, why don't we just travel? And so that's literally how we made this decision. We like completely shifted gears, and in 3 days we had the travel trailer, the truck, and the van, all the debt paid off, the house closed, and we were like, bye, Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, well, and I remember when we were sitting at doTERRA Leadership Convention a year ago. So a year ago next month, we were sitting there, and there was a woman that was up talking about, now, Nicole and I we're going to talk more about this, maybe not this podcast, but we have issues being in large groups of people. We're better now because of our healing. But at the time, we were like sitting way in the back, and we were like shuddering. And even though it's very, these are wonderful people. It's doTERRA people. Everybody's oiled up. So there was a family or a woman talking about her family and showing pictures of their family traveling in the RV. And I remember looking over, and you were just sobbing. You're like,
yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, what is wrong with me? And then also the Norps, Megan Norp, she's in doTERRA. I'd been following her blog very loosely and just enjoying it. And they have 9 kids. And they have some adopted children, so they use their oils for emotional support and neurological support and things of that nature. And I was like, oh my gosh, we would all be in the same place all the time. Nobody would be running here and there, soccer practice this, We could really be on top of the kids' self-care and their healing journey, and this could actually be really awesome. But I remember just like anytime she would get up and talk, or that other gal, I don't even remember her name, I was just a puddle. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So
there's my dream. But it was like you were going through all the stages of like, what are people going to think? And am I going to be enough, to be able to travel with my family of 6 on the road? And,
and mostly it was, will we kill each other?
Yes.
Truly.
If we're struggling in a 2,000 square foot home, how are we going to live in 300 square feet? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I've talked to you because that's our dream. Our dream is to take off. We don't have kids. We have 2 Irish setters. So
yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do. And I work from home, and so I can work from anywhere. And so we've talked about it. Once Steve retires, that we will hit the road for a couple years and travel around the U.S. and Canada, and we'll trade our trailer in for a 5th wheel. And we have plans. And and so it's been neat to hear the fun and the trials and tribulations, and travel with you guys, and you
were our first meetup.
We were, in Sun Lakes, over in Deep Falls, Sun Lakes, over near
Grand
I just blanked. Coulee City, in Eastern Washington. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun, and so last minute, and just such a blast. And I remember asking Kate, I was actually walking. So one of your kids, I was I was walking with Kate. We were carrying the stuff back from the beach to the cars, and I said, what do you think? And he said, I love the fact that my parents just don't seem stressed anymore, and I get to see them. Like, I don't get up and one of them's gone, and then the other one's trying to rush us to school to get back and get started to work, and then get home and everybody's exhausted. And so I think, knowing that it's the quality time together is super important for them. They love that they get the time with. I mean, I know there's 6 people living in a travel trailer. I know there's moments, but I've heard you talk a lot about.
But they're only moments.
Right.
It's not all day, every day like it used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we had talked back to RV repairs and stuff. We had talked about how there's a lot of giving and receiving, and you activate the receiving by giving. And so if you have, I'm learning about this through my mentor, Janet Marquez. And so we've been talking about this a lot, of how when we want the law of attraction, and when we think of that, we want money, right? But really the things, so we've been writing down everything that comes in. If I find a penny on the sidewalk, or if like I can't find any pens, all of a sudden, you know, she says, like for her it was pens one time, so she wrote down every time she found a pen, and she's like, all these pens just started coming to me. But we always think about like material, tangible things, but really what comes first are opportunities to give and opportunities to maybe encounter what we would consider oh crap, I have to, you know, spend this unexpected money on this repair or this, you know, locksmith or this whatever, when really truly it's like, oh, I have money in the bank to cover this. Before,
Right.
when this happened, this would completely derail me when I was paycheck to paycheck or whatever.
Right.
But now, like, ooh, I activated the law of receiving in that person's life, you know, the person I needed to call for repairs or a service or whatever. And then it brings in the law of receiving. And it's not just money, it's also support and your ideal tribe and miracles you get to see and be a part of. And so I'm going to tell you real quick one thing. The week I learned this principle, we were in New Orleans and we went into the city. Well, we always stay in a campground outside of the big city, and then we'll drive in and do a day trip. And so that's what we had done.
And thank goodness, right? With all the sensory stuff, like, whew.
Yeah, we like our peace and quiet, but we love to go explore. And so we were having a great time in New Orleans, and we ended with a friend had recommended Landry's. It's a really great seafood place. So we had this really beautiful dinner, and I'm like freezing. I'm like wearing my coat, and it's not cold outside. And I'm like, I'm so cold. And the waitress was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just a little cold. And she was bringing me hot water to drink and tea and stuff. And I was like, I better not mess with the ice water, you know. It's like I was not feeling well. And by the time we got back to our trailer, I had full on like fever and chills and body aches and stuff. And that's a whole nother story. But that morning I had this really beautiful interaction with a dear friend who's going through some marital stuff, and our entire friendship, that's how we met, was her husband and my husband became friends, and they, you know, talked, and he opened up to my husband, and then my husband said, hey, your wife might need somebody to talk to. Here's my wife's number. So it was such a beautiful alchemy of friendship. And that was like 7 or 8 years ago. And so they're still dealing with some of the same issues, and, you know, they've morphed and changed over the years, but they need a significant breakthrough. And so I had the privilege of facilitating a healing treatment for her and for her husband. And I did it, you know, vicariously for them. And that was Saturday night. We came up with the treatment. Sunday morning, I put the treatment on, went in to use the shower. Like I had shared with my husband, with her permission, what was going on, and just was asking him, you know, be interceding on their behalf, because like this is some heavy lifting. And then I left my phone in the trailer, went and used the shower, came back, and looked at my phone, and she had said, I'm just going to remember that I am, you know, a daughter of God, and like all these beautiful things. And they were very specific to the nuances of the oils that I had pulled for the treatment. Of course, you know, it was a download. It's not right. Like I made it up, you know, and it was just confirmation, like, ooh, she got the message, you know, she got the message, and she's remembering who she already is. And that was so encouraging. And I wept, you know, I was like, oh, this is so beautiful to be a part of this. And so when we got back to the trailer, we were locked out. We had, like, the little tiny trailer key had fallen off my key ring, and we have no idea. It's somewhere in New Orleans. And so my husband, I'm like chills and shaking and aching and stuff, and my husband's like trying to get into the trailer. You can't break into a trailer. And so he calls the locksmith. I'm in the car with the heat blasted up, and I get this message from her. We had this great experience together at church. He had this breakthrough and these things he said to me, and it was all the stuff that was in the treatment that we had done. And I was just like,
Yay.
So yay, maybe we activated the law of giving by having to have the locksmith come, but the receiving was like so beautiful. And no, it wasn't tangible money, but it was priceless to be able to see them have, and to be able to check back with her and say, I haven't even had a chance to put the oils on. He's been home all week. We've just been spending this great time together. I'm like, I think at this point you don't really need to put the oils on.
Right. Like source takes care of it. Yeah.
You're good to go. And so so that's just one. There's been a few others, but I want to hear your dishwasher story now, because we were talking about this, and then this is what came up for you.
This is like, we can go back and forth with these WhatsApp messages, and I'm like, this would make a great podcast, because people go through this, and we've touched on energy healing, we've touched on one of the services that Nicole provides, and so we're gonna just one of the services. So we'll delve into that a little bit more. But where my angst started coming up is again, we're very blessed. I have complete gratitude for our lives. And, so we typically take a travel trailer trip about once a month for, either a 3-day or 4-day weekend. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
stuff. It's good.
Yeah, it's really dry here because of the wood stove going in the house. So I know I've been
I have the opposite. It's so damp here, and I'm not used to it. And I'm like, like Ayurvedically, my body is like, I need to go to Arizona and take the dry air.
I need this is where's the dehumidifier? Suck this wet out of me. Exactly. Yeah. So we hadn't taken the trailer out in a while. I think October was our last trip, and that's not like us. We usually go once a month, whether it's raining, snowing, 100 degrees, whatever. And so it had been sitting for the first time for a while. So we went to Cape Disappointment down in Southwest Washington, and I have videos for you. I'm actually going to send you. You guys have to go there. The kids would love it. The hiking was amazing. So I'm saying all the amazing things, but this was after the the semi-disaster. So we towed. It's a state park, and we've planned that it's going to be pouring down rain because it's the Washington coast and it's this time of year. And so I have packed extra towels because the dogs get wet, and I have to put towels down in the trailer and all the things. We don't really have carpet in our trailers. Nice. So I can just put towels down. So we get down there, and clearly people have canceled and aren't coming. So it's pretty empty where we are. We're over by the yurts. Mm-hmm. And I had booked site 86. I liked the layout, so we could have our slide out and the awning and still have room, and it was off the road, so the dogs wouldn't be, if they were off leash, they wouldn't like run into the road. So we check in, we go to set up, and we're literally right next to what's clearly like a family that's living there, and it's like a tent city. No offense. I mean, they've got tarps up and they've got all this stuff, but Steve got out, he could hear music going. It was literally like site 85, like right next to us. Music going, tons of kids, and we have nothing against kids. We just don't have kids, but the dogs love kids. So if we don't have the dogs tied up at the campsite, which our dogs are good, they stay in the campsite, but if there's kids, they want to be on the kids. So we were already like thinking this is a disaster waiting to happen. So we towed back.
Instead of being able to relax, you have to then make sure your dogs aren't going over and quote unquote like being nuisance to their family.
And there's
you have to watch them more actively.
Yeah, and there's no one around the family, and so why not have us go find another site so they can have their privacy and their family time? Mm-hmm. Like let's co-collaborate this beautiful weekend. So we tow all the way back, and it's like it's 2 miles each way to the ranger station. So we tow back out, ask what sites are still available, tow back in, find our site, tow back out, change our come back in. So anyway, so we finally get to our site, and of course I had envisioned that we were going to get there, we were going to put down, go out to the beach, take a walk, you know, la la la, while it was still light out. So
So as Tony Robbins would say, we had an opportunity to trade our expectation for appreciation eventually.
Yeah. So I had not put the slide out because Steve was having to walk back and forth to kind of get things, like get the jacks down and make sure it was level and everything. And so he finally hooks the water up, and I go to put the slide out, and I can hear water in the trailer. And I'm like, oh dear. And I look over, and there's water coming out from under the door of the bathroom into the living space. And I'm screaming, shut the water off. So I grab a bunch of towels. I start mopping it up. Steve, he comes in. He's like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know where it's coming from. It's clearly coming from.
I didn't hear this part. I didn't hear the part about the
Oh.
water coming under. I'm like, I'm feeling your freaked out pain right now. That's like literally the worst thing. We had at this same campsite, state park as well, we had our gray water back up into our shower. Like, we just had to go dump. It was no big deal. But like, you get water coming in places and you're like, oh no, mold, you know, like, it's like my first thought. I'm like, ah! And I know, like, you'll get to hear Kirty's backstory with mold sometime. Holy crap, that's scary.
Yeah, totally scary. So, you know, me too. Like, oh my God, where's the water coming from? Ah, you know, and then you start thinking about like cracked pipes and, you know, all the things, you know, we're following people on Instagram, as we do, about people who are traveling full time in their RVs and, you know, freezing. We try to keep a heater going in the trailer and all the, you know, all the stuff.
Yeah, we just went in full on blind and learned it out. Because I think if I had known all the things that could go wrong, I'd be like, that doesn't sound fun.
At all. I know. And I made it really nice for you guys, right?
Does that sound fun? No. It doesn't
No.
sound fun. I'm not doing that.
No. Does having your husband almost rip the awning off on the second trip out in 2015 sound great? No, it doesn't. So yeah, you know, so he comes in and he's like, where is it coming from? And I said, it's the toilet. He's like, okay, you go out, turn the water back on. And then he could yell to turn the water back off.
Oh, I see.
We're recording, honey. So just FYI. So I go out, I turn the water on. He figures out where it's coming from. I shut the water off. And at this point, I mean, the towels are soaked. I had really wanted to mop the floor in the trailer, so I got the floor mopped.
You're manifesting badass.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So
when you use the law of attraction, you must have a sense of humor.
You have to. And I wish that was the end of the story. So,
oh no, there's more.
Oh no, there's more. So he, and we have no service out in that area. So we have to drive out of the park, you know, to figure out where there's an Ace Hardware in Long Beach, Washington. So he takes a part off the back of the toilet. This is what he thinks is cracked. And we're going to go to Ace Hardware and he's going to MacGyver this whole thing together. And I hope that's not trademarked. So anyway, sorry.
Sorry, MacGyver.
I don't own that. Yeah, I don't own that. Yeah, thanks, fan. So he goes, so we get the parts. Oh, and we needed a new water regulator. So we got the water regulator. So we are leaving to come back from Long Beach. And I was like, maybe I'll just Google if there's an RV repair place. So there's a guy who owns a mobile RV place. We pulled up to his shop and he said to Steve, he's like, because Steve's like, do I have the right parts? The guy's like, with fixing RVs, anything goes. And so that was reassuring. And then he says, but I do have a new Dometic toilet for $299 and I'm open till 6. At this point, it's 5 p.m. on a Friday. We're probably not going to make it back. But Steve's like, we don't need a new toilet. So it's either turning into a really expensive trip or, you know, not. So we get back to the trailer. He fixes it. He thought he fixed it. And then we turn the water back on and it's a different part that's cracked. So he just turned the valve off and, you know, we used a bucket to flush the toilet. So in trailers, if you don't know, it's just you push the foot pedal and a little bit of water will squirt to kind of move things down. But we use a bucket.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
It sometimes needs help.
Yeah, and I don't typically put toilet paper in, I put it in a waste bin, but, you know, you still have to flush solid waste. So it worked out fine to flush with a bucket, and he ordered the part. We have it here somewhere. And so he's going to fix it. So the backstory about this, there's more, but the backstory about this is
there's more.
But wait, there's more. The backstory is that he is, when we travel across the US, I already have work. And so that I can do. So he's wondering, well, what am I going to do? And so he's thinking, well, I'll just be the RV repair handyman. Okay. So I'm like, well, look at this. You're manifesting things that you have to fix in your own RV that you can, so you're, again, abundance and manifesting, give, receive. Well, sources, the universe is funny. And, like, let me test you.
Opportunities to grow and then also get to this place where you're like, oh my gosh, I used to think that would be the worst thing ever, but it actually happened and it wasn't bad and I knew what to do and this really cool thing happened and I learned that I'm actually really capable. I mean, we were in New York and one of the tires, I watched it start smoking, then shredding, and my walkie-talkie battery was suddenly dead or something. So I'm trying to say, pull over, you're losing a tire, and Eric can't hear me at all. He's just driving away. He can't see, he can't hear anything. And so we called him on the cell phone, and he pulled over, and it was fine. And we got to go to Niagara Falls, which we weren't going to think we were able to do. So see, serendipities.
Yeah.
But I mean, ever since I was 17 and I got my driver's license, I was like, that was the scariest thing I could imagine is losing a tire. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, am I going to go off the road? Is my car going to roll? I had no idea what would happen. I should have just watched a YouTube video, but no, I was afraid. I'm 39 years old. So that's a long time to be afraid of that thing. And then it happens and I'm like, oh, that wasn't even that big of a deal. Now I'm like, do your worst. Because we seriously, we'd be driving down the road and I would be sending Reiki to the trailer and keep the wheels on and everything. I was like, is this thing going to rattle apart? I didn't know. And when that happened, I was like, I don't ever have to be afraid of that again. We knew what to do. We handled it. It was, same with we got locked out. I guess locksmiths come all the way out to state parks too.
Yes, they do. Instead of mobile RV repairmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you meet really nice people that way too.
Exactly. So Sunday, right, we're packing up, we're getting ready to leave, and I go to put the slide out in, and it's going, gung, 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 gung. I'm like, Steve! So he comes running in, and he's like, and so he's trying to rock it, thinking maybe it's off track because it was kind of coming in sideways. And so anyway, we got it in, and so we were able to, come home, and then he's getting on YouTube. Is it a hydraulic motor? Is it off the track? What is it? And normally it would be well, let's call Camper World and trade it, not trade it in, but take it in and have somebody fix it. And so you're thinking cha-ching, cha-ching, all this money, right? And so, so there's that. So now the toilet needs to be fixed. The slide out needs to be fixed. And then I text, because now we're having this cold snap, and I text my renter over in Puyallup, and I'm like, hey, I need you to put the covers on the faucet. And she's like, no, they're on there. But well, I've got you on the phone. The dishwasher's not working. And I was like, oh my God. So the dishwasher's not draining. And we just replaced the dishwasher 3 years ago. So Steve goes over to check it out, and he's like, it's got to be the, the pump. Just order a new dishwasher, $600. And so this is how this whole thing started. Let's do a podcast, because I messaged Nicole, and I'm like, help.
Yeah, because we have pretty awesome lives, but shit still happens. We still have to deal with this stuff, and it's maybe if you can hear us and how we were able to somehow arrive at turning this into a blessing, maybe this can help you too. If not, maybe you're not our tribe, but that's okay too.
Maybe you're oh, nice bougie problems. And
I know,
right? But So anyway, I messaged Nicole, and I'm like, help, what am I doing? Do I need to sage myself? Do I need oils? Do I, what is it that I'm
Get the tool belt. Get
Yeah,
the
get
tool out. Which tool do I need?
Yeah, exactly. Do I need to do a clearing? Like, what is going on? Why all of a sudden, like, because my business is taking off, why are all these extra expenses coming up? And we needed to replace the tires on the truck. And, so, we're just like, oh my God, all this money, thinking about all this money going out. So
You've
immediately
activated the law of receiving in other people's lives. And then it's coming in. Because whenever we're ready to up level our abundance, there's things that need to be cleared, which what's being cleared in this instance is the freak out that used to be the go-to every time something would come up, and thinking, what did I do wrong?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. There is nothing but love in the universe. Is not a reward punishment model. That is not truth at all. And and so clearing that mindset, that's like a huge blessing. And then also clearing away the scarcity mentality, clearing away the, oh no, what's it going to cost me? I better play small because I don't want, like when people would say, oh, I don't want to pray for patience. Why not? Like, do you just want to stay how you are, or do you want to get uncomfortable and grow? Growing it's inevitable. You're going to stop growing and die, or you're going to grow and like flourish. So let's grow. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, but we're clearing away that old mindset of like, this is a disaster. What did I do wrong? I better dim my light, to like, oh, what's the lesson?
Right. Well, and that's
blessing.
That's where I went, because I was like, okay, I'm up leveling, my business is growing. So big leap. Did I hit, did I hit the,
she's like, is this an upper limit problem?
Is this an upper limit problem? That was totally what I was thinking. Book. Yeah. And Denise Duffield Thomas, where, it's like, instead of me saying like, okay, if I have an extra $600, I want it in my savings account, not a dishwasher, and so and
that's what Janet taught us. You must have somewhere that, like, you donate to a cause you love. You decide where that money goes, or it gets decided for you. You can have fun spending it, like doing somebody's GoFundMe or something, that where you're like, yes, I'm so grateful and thankful that I had the money to bless somebody. Or you're like, well, thank you, locksmith, or Camping World, for the service that you provided. Here's my money.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my money. Well, and that was the thing. It wasn't about the money. I mean, I ordered the dishwasher right away. We had the money. So what happened, though?
That in and of itself is an up level too. It's like, oh my gosh, we actually have money where if something goes wrong, we can fix it.
Right.
What a blessing. That has not always been my reality.
No, exactly. And the other thing too is like, I can do more work to replace the $600. I mean, that's another blessing, so, and, when you are an entrepreneur and you work for yourself, what your mindset goes to is, oh, well, okay, that happened. Okay. So where am I going to make that money and more, like I just need to manifest that money to put back or whatever. So I wrote to you, I messaged you, and I was freaking out. But by the time I think I verbally messaged you, I'd gotten myself to the point of like, this is ridiculous. Of course dishwashers are going to break. Of course they are. When you have rentals, you have outgo. When you have a trailer, you have outgo. It's the fact that we have the money and the ability to repair these things on our own. And when I say we, I mean my husband, but I can be there for moral support.
And I can call the places.
Or I can call places, I did.
Not my zone of genius.
Well, he doesn't like to do plumbing, so I did ask, do you want me to call a plumber? So I went into fight or flight. So I was immediately like, oh, he told me to order the dishwasher. I'm going to order the dishwasher. And so I ordered the dishwasher, and then I started watching YouTube videos, and I'm like, oh, it's probably like a clogged filter or clogged drain pipes or something like that. There was literally like the water smelled like vomit, dead carcass in the bottom of the dishwasher because it was old food sitting there. So I felt bad for the renter, and I felt bad for Steve trying to work on it. And so the renter and I were back and forth trying to get, her to get the water out of the dishwasher and try some things first. So I canceled the dishwasher. That was a whole event in and of itself. The money hasn't come back into my account, but it will. And, but Home Depot, they were wonderful. But my intuition was, and here's where it was coming from. It wasn't about spending the money on the dishwasher. Because again, give, receive, right? Like Home Depot offers a great service. They'll deliver and they'll set it up, so I don't have to worry about that. Steve doesn't have to take time out of his schedule for that. It was about being a throwaway society. It was about, the dishwasher's only 3 years old. Really? Dishwashers give out in 3 years? Let's try some new things. Yep. And so just like being able to spend $199 for a new hydraulic pump for a slide out on a trailer versus $1,000 to take it in to have the guys fix it, it's about how if you don't have the skill to do the work too, it is better to pay someone so it's done right. But if you have the skills and the knowledge and want to learn, then there's YouTube videos for free out there to show you how it's done. And so we didn't have to wind up buying a dishwasher. Here's how it went. So then, trying to get out to the rental has been a nightmare because we got these freak snowstorms. And here, the people from the Midwest that live here my renter's from Wisconsin, so she just laughs about all this. But
yeah, she does a giant eye roll.
Yeah.
Like, all your snow, your 10 inches of snow.
I know, exactly. But snow paralyzes us here.
Yeah, you're not up for it.
Even the thought of snow. Steve was stuck in traffic for 2 hours trying to get to work the other day because snow was coming down, but it was like rain, and people were freaking out and abandoning their vehicles and on the freeway, and it was just like weird. Anyway, so energetically, I could feel like this wasn't resolved. And so yesterday, we're like, despite the roads being bad, let's go over there. Let's work on it. And so we did. He got it fixed. Yay. And she felt better. And so last night, when I was able to just sit down and watch a movie and hang out with my husband, it was like this energetic clearing of we had the money to fix it. We were able to do these simple things. We didn't have to throw away an appliance.
No.
And we were able to rectify the situation so she's happy, and just again, just the energy of we can do this. So
yeah. And when you said you went into fight or flight, your lid popped up, but then you're like, wait, let me educate myself. Let's put that lid back down. Let's take deep breaths. Let's use our coping skills.
Yeah, it was
educate ourselves. Oh, get on YouTube and see what it could possibly be. I'm always in awe because my husband, he's just always fixed everything that's broken in our life. His dad is, that kind of guy too, where he just figures out how to do it and does it. And so one of my first memories of when I really felt like my in-laws rallied around my husband and supported him was I was pregnant with Cade, our first kid, and I was super nauseated. I was laying on the couch, and it was 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and they're still out working on our vehicle together in the cold. And Eric's dad stayed out there with him, and they figured it out, and it's just that's just kind of their mentality, their mindset is we can figure this out and we'll do it together. And I think it's really beautiful. But he's learned so much from Chilton's manuals and YouTube videos. And I'm whoa, that's cool.
Well,
and to do that.
No, and but also to be able to think you and I talk about this, the entrepreneur, and that I see that in him. And so what is it about the experience where he could now go in, film a video on what he did?
Yes.
So that's there, for people to see. So it's paying it forward too.
Exactly.
Frankly, I love watching the YouTube videos where the guys are like, okay, y'all, this is the problem. And so I'm going to teach you how to fix it. And
I know, the accents make
it. Do this too. Just be careful when you stick your fingers down after you rinse the filter. There may be broken glass in there. I like the
real people.
The real people. I like the real people.
I do too.
So,
and that's, you bring up an interesting point that I want to just touch on really quick, is that both you and I.
Can we touch on anything really quick? But go ahead.
You sparked something. So like what you were saying about paying it forward, like when I have an experience, I turn it into a lesson. And then we don't just want that lesson to die with us. We like turn it into content, you know? So I always talk about turning our gremlins into content. Those things that was like, oh, I would be really ashamed of anybody knowing I'm struggling with that. Screw that. I'm not going to live in shame. Not
Mm-hmm.
only am I not going to live in shame, I'm going to turn it into a course or a blog post or
Oh,
an Instagram thing. Like I posted a picture of my son and I had went back and forth for a few seconds about it. Like, do I post this? Because he's really not at his best in this picture. I mean, he was glaring at me. But then I got out the oils. I put 3 different oils on him and a couple other kids and myself. I needed it too. And I was like, because we were sitting next to each other, and I kid you not, the power struggle, because he was like, I can't do it. He just decided he couldn't do it. He got triggered or something, and he just shut down. And I was trying to like encourage him, and I was like, okay, I could try to like logically encourage somebody whose lid's flipped up and they're in their right brain. That's not going to work so
right.
well. Or I can put these oils on him and they can create this holy shift, you know, and like neurologically support, emotionally support, physically support whatever's
Right.
going on in his little body. And within 2 minutes, I mean, if it was even that, if you swipe through, you see him snuggling up to me and he's just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
thanks, Mom, I needed that, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so at first I was like, do I even post that? Because, you know, you never want to like share the dirt, you know, on your family, especially he's a minor, you know. So when he's an adult, is he going to be like, oh my gosh, Mom, I can't believe you put that on your Instagram? Or are people going to learn from it and say, like, yeah, you know, homeschooling, it's rough. Especially, I'm such a gypsy. Like, it does not come naturally to me. I'm all for like the unschooling thing, but then I'm like, but you need to know how to add and read. So like we need books too. It's like, well, you know,
But
don't make
there's
this
a
all my
YouTube video.
responsibility, right? But then I'm
There's a YouTube video on that, though.
I'm sure there is. So I'm like, oh, we got to do these math books, you know, and it's boring. It's not fun, you know. They'd rather be outside playing and running around and stuff. And but then I'm like, no, we actually have to get some schoolwork done. I think it's pretty much mandatory by law that we do some schoolwork. So let's comply with that.
Something our government has put in place.
Right. It's for our good, I'm pretty sure. So so anyways, I went back and forth and then I'm like, you know, I'm going to share this because somewhere somebody's like, yeah, you know, it's really hard to get my kid with ADHD or my kid with OCD or my kid with autism or whatever, or just my neurotypical kid to do school or to, you know, to have a breakthrough where they go from feeling like I can't, there's no way I could possibly, to, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you for that support. And then let's get back to work. I just think it's awesome. Like when we share our lessons, then they're not wasted and they don't become shame baggage, you know. And then I don't have to store
Yeah.
them in my fat cells and carry them around with me until I'm ready to use
Yay.
them.
Yay.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of, so it came into my purview that there was a movie on. So you and I've been reading books by the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself
Oh,
and
Joe
Joe
Dispenza.
Dispenza. Okay.
Yeah, I love him.
And Bruce Lipton,
Lipton?
and
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, oh my gosh. So anyway,
I
um,
know.
there's a gal that I follow on Instagram, who's doTERRA also, and her husband has been going through, you know, like just his spiritual awakening and everything, and
Oh, cool.
Desiree was at Joe Dispenza's advanced course this weekend and stuff, and so, you know, anyway, the husband had posted, trying to respect people's privacy, but the husband had posted about this movie called Heal, Heal.
Yeah.
And so we got on and watched it last night, and oh, so amazing. You guys have to watch it. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's what Steve and I were saying is like all the stuff that we read or that we've been learning in our healing modalities and everything, it's like it's all in there.
Yes.
And so you know that recently I went to Boyd Truman, who's also part of doTERRA, Boyd Truman's Symphony of the Cells course. And
Yes.
yeah, backwards, I realize that, but I went in Portland with a friend of mine's husband, who's a massage therapist. And so timely, right? You got sick. And so I was able to give you one of the protocols out of the book. And, they're just the different oils, and, he talks about the layering effects and stuff like that. But I think, some of the neat things about like what he said, and we're going to do a whole nother podcast on this, but so yesterday my sister texted me about something else. We were supposed to go to a funeral yesterday, and we were just in the morning, the roads were not passable, so we didn't make it to the funeral. But she mentioned that my niece is sick, and so I was like, go do this protocol. So I sent her the one I sent you, the infectious disease one. And she was like, that all those oils? And I was like, yep. And you just layer them, and you just get them on, and I want you to do it like 3 times today. And you are not afraid. What I love is you're not afraid to just be like, okay, source, what oils do I need to put on these kids? And just start putting oils on. And the
they're
kids
always
have seen
different
such a shift.
too.
They're always different, right? But going back to heal, radical forgiveness keeps coming up, right?
Yes.
Radical forgiveness. It is the foundation. When I'm doing my energy healing sessions with people, and they think, people come in with the expectation, like, I'm booking this session for this. And source is just like, well, this is the basic radical forgiveness. We're just going to put you in that space, going to apply the oils. And
we really have no idea that many of our, if not all of our issues are rooted in a hurt that we didn't know how to forgive or process. For sure. Like this sore throat thing that I've had, this cough, it's all about when I have felt silenced and like losing my voice. And so this podcast, I wasn't really going to bring this up today, but so much of it is, okay, I'm ready to talk now. And that's when I got sick. Like, I have some things to forgive. And another, healing thing took place between my mom and I and some other people in my life. And it's just amazing. Like, there's so many layers of forgiveness. You think, like I lost 30 pounds, 30 physical pounds of unforgiveness in 2017 and 18. And I'm still like, there's still more layers to go. And it's like, wow, the body really does store all that until we have the ability and the wherewithal to release it and process it. So yeah, those oils are so intuitive, and they just get in there, and you think, oh, I'm putting this on because my muscles are sore. And it's like, oh, and then we're going to do all the other things that need to be done.
You're right. And so here's this protocol with all these oils in it. And my sister, she didn't blink an eye. She messaged me back and was like, I don't have time. And I was like, okay, then I want you to use this and this. And so she got all the oils on her. And then there's a picture later of my niece out actually in the snow. And I messaged her this morning before we got on the call, and I said, hey, how's she doing? She's like, she's so much better. She's still sleeping, but she's so much better. But it's not, the oils are not just for the, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-infectious, antifungal, whatever. I'll think of all the emotional release. And she's a teenager. Like, think of all the things right now that she's going through, and it manifested in this illness. And that's what I believe. And again,
that's what I believe too.
And so, you may be watching this or listening to this podcast, and you may be thinking like, I don't believe that. And it's like, that's fine. Go watch that movie Heal.
You and your pseudoscience. We're like, okay, but this is our life experience, which we'll get into that in other episodes.
Yeah, we totally will. Well, and I remember, when I can't remember which course. I've taken like all of Nicole's courses. So I can't remember which course it was, but you were doing I was doing private coaching with you as well, business coaching, back in 2017. And I've had coaching with you, a lot of times, but that was like specifically like I was
Mhm.
signed up for private coaching, which is a great service that you offer. And you were like, okay, we're going to do a 30 blog posts in 30 days challenge. And so I wrote all these topics and literally wound up getting like laryngitis the next day. Wasn't even sick, and I got laryngitis. And so
I have that effect on people, I guess.
I
I'm
know,
just
right?
kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
but it's like, oh, I'm not like I don't feel like clear to share my message, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Well,
and it just really gets your attention, so you go, ooh, what needs to be healed here? Because
exactly.
your spirit is willing, and your body is saying, okay, but there's still some more work to be done. Because if I had gone on and shared in that space last week, just for instance, before I got this cold, I would have probably the tone and what would have come through would have been that the parts of me that were unhealed, and
Right.
I wouldn't want to resonate with people who resonated with that, because that's not what I want to share. I want to share a healing message and a life-giving message. And of course, we're always works in progress, and my main message is always like better today than yesterday. And it's not that I'm not content with where I am, but it's like we're always learning and growing and
Mm-hmm.
shifting and more healing, and being able to share what we've learned. And so it is always better, because like we said at the beginning, I couldn't have even fathomed living in a small space. And now the thought of going back into living in a normal house, kind of more traditional dwelling, it kind of bums me out. There's parts of it that I'm excited about, like having a space next to my bed for my yoga mat so I can roll off my bed onto my yoga mat. That's
Right.
and that's really like the thing. And just like this much more counter space for my Instapot, so it can always have some sort
Mm-hmm.
of soup going in it. Like those are my two things. It's like if I just had that, I'd be good.
Well, and isn't it neat that now you get to design that? Like you literally get
Yeah.
to draw that out. You guys get to sit down and you can ask all six, what do you want? Because
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
have been.
bet it's gonna be with the exception of Cade, I think it's gonna be hard for the kids to not have share a room. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could see the younger kids, either all three of them sharing a room, or it's gonna be a little bit lonely because
Yeah.
we have our aura,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have our family aura, but amongst the siblings they have their auras as well, so they have this really intact aura. They're existing in
Mm-hmm.
this like space
Oh
of
yeah.
navigating each other's energies, and there's a craving for that. There's a craving now for that togetherness. And so how big a space do you get? What do you do now? And so
Yeah.
it's really neat that you get to start designing that, and to be able to have outdoor space and be near parks, and um, still be able to travel with the
Yeah.
travel trailer, and all the things.
Yeah. I'm
It's going to be
excited to
interesting.
also join a yoga studio. I'm ready to join and like be a part of a community in that
Mhm.
way. But I mean, those are my three things. Okay, four:
Well,
bookshelves, bookshelves.
yeah, but we talk about that, like how much stuff do we actually need? And we've really been, I know everybody's making fun of Marie Kondo, but I had
No,
started
she's a
that.
genius. And if she
Yeah.
hadn't gotten that download however many years ago and written that book,
Hmm.
like people wouldn't realize, oh, the things in my life aren't bringing me joy.
Yeah. Well, and 2 summers ago, so not last summer, but the summer before, my godchild Steph was home from University of Idaho, and came over, and we went through everything. And and there's still some stuff that Steph left for us to process, as Marie does. Well, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to figure this out on your own. But I was able to watch the the Marie Kondo series, and actually get in and get rid of some things. And it's interesting too, when we think about getting rid of clothing. Again, we feel bad about, I feel sometimes bad about like, oh, I've accumulated all this stuff and now I'm just going to get rid of it. But there's trauma attached. There was some older clothes that I had, that there were some old, like things I had had when I lived in Cabo San Lucas, trauma. Things I had when I first, was home from there, that needed to go. And like, and I know I talked to you about this, because, we've talked about this in your Living Letter course. I have some smaller pairs of jeans, and those spark joy for me. Even though they don't currently fit in them, it's a style of jean like that the Gap doesn't carry anymore. And so should my body decide to release down to that size again, that those jeans are there. It's a style of jean that I really love. They're boot cut. It's like, just the way I'm shaped.
I love boot cut too. That's my shape too.
Love those. And I remember the jeans you were wearing when we were on our Everglades tour. You look so good.
Those are my jeans. I'm wearing them right now. They're my favorite.
Those jeans on you.
I own, I think, 4 pairs of jeans, and these are the ones I wear 8 times out of 10.
Are you allowed to tell
the other 2 times
your butt looks really good in your jeans? That's what I was like. I'm on this boat ride, and I'm like, your butt looks so good in those jeans. And I think your kids heard them. They were like,
I think they're used to hearing Eric and I say stuff like that. So it's probably fine. So when we went wedding dress shopping yesterday, just real quickly, like this, she had this one style of dress that she wanted, and then like she's really curvy, and so we got her to try on some more fitted dresses, and oh my gosh, I was like, celebrate your curves, not you're not a size 4. No, oh my gosh, like she looked gorgeous, and the more fitted the better. It was so fun to see her just like embrace her curviness. And the owner of the shop, she was really cool. When I first got there, I got there like 30 minutes late. I'm like, hello, I've met this girl once before. She invited me into her sacred ritual of bridal dress shopping, and I'm 30 minutes late, and I'm in Texas. I am like wearing the cone of shame. I was like, oh my God.
Well, and your hair's not high enough.
My hair, well, it was yesterday because they turned off the water at the park, so it was like faux hawk. Like it was, I had to like tame it down with dry shampoo. I didn't even have the right product. They were so gracious. She's like, oh, it's fine. We just got started. I wasn't like stressed about it, but I was also like, I don't want to be an asshole. It was more like that. Like I wasn't stressed. Right. I was just like, it is what it is. And I'm like, hey, Source, if you could help me like with traffic, that'd be great. And it did shave a few minutes off, which was nice. But anyways, all that to say,
parking
the
spot
lady I first meet her, and I like shake her hand and everything, and I thought she was one of her friends. I didn't realize she was the shop owner, and she said something that was just so succinct about the dress and how it fit and everything. I was like, oh my gosh, everybody needs a friend like you to come bridal shopping. Like you put that into words in such a way that like we were all kind of going, I don't know why I don't like it that one. And then you just nailed it. And she's like, well, thank you. And then like 2 seconds later, I realized she's the shop owner. This is her job. This is her zone of genius. And I was like, wow, she was obviously really good at her job, because I thought she was one of the girlfriends, but it was really funny. But we're all like, baby, your curves are good. Like your butt looks good in that dress. And so that's like what that made me think of. She found this gorgeous dress, and it's so pretty on her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. So cool.
It was fun to be invited into that. I'm like, I can't even fathom how I felt so honored. Anyways, all right.
Yeah, so sisterhood's pretty special. Yeah, I know. We're
how are we doing on time?
Probably so we're gonna close it up. So this is what happens. Like we can literally go on for hours and hours. So we're gonna split up. I'm making a list of some things that have kind of come off of this, so that we can do some other podcasts.
I have a list of things for you too. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, hang on. I had to call. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh,
Okay,
we did
a call came in.
that
Yeah, I
happened.
forgot to put it on. So you guys, when you do a Zoom call, do DND, do not disturb. I didn't do that, so I've had people like, lol. So
Don't worry.
whatever. It's
So
Sunday. Leave me alone. Um,
we have more to speak about, but
oh, we have so
that's just a
much. We
small
touched on
taste
some
of
things here.
how we process.
Yeah, and it's again. Oh, you left me a 2-second message. That's rich. Sure. Okay.
Might have
It
been
said
recording.
suspected spam, so it was nothing.
Oh,
Yeah, so there's never going to be like a great way to end these, except that there will be more. And I love you. It
I love you too. Thank you for this time
was great.
and
And
friendship.
yes, you for you amazing you.
You too. I love you, my friends.
Love you too. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.